Hello and welcome to the Typical Boro podcast. I'm your host, Steve Gibson. Unfortunately, again this week, we don't have Mr. John McCutler. McCutler was last seen, but he was found in the Isle of Skye, wafting a banjo around the back end of a cow. He has been returned to Middlesbrough, thankfully. The field he was in, the farmer got a hold of him. He's got him back to Middlesbrough, and the good news is he's going to be back next week. If any Boro fans see John in Middlesbrough City Centre walking around, please advise to approach him with care. Although you should be okay, because if he goes for you and you mention Tommy Conway, he'll probably miss anyway. So he's back next week. Thankfully, I do have Mr. Graham Bandera, who was at Hull last night. Welcome back, Graham.
Evening. You all right?
Very, very good. Buzzing off the 4-1 victory. And magical. Also, to replace Mr. Matt Cutler this week, we'll have a guest. You'll recognise his dulcet tones of BBC T's fan panel. It's Chris Saunders. Welcome to the podcast again, Chris.
Good evening, gentlemen.
All right, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good. Like many Boro fans last night, I still haven't been able to stop singing Merry Christmas, Kim Hellberg since I got home.
Can't even say the name, he's drunk that much.
I know, yeah.
That was brilliant at the end, I have to say. What scenes they were. Brilliant.
Yeah,
We'll get into all that. We'll start off, obviously, with Boro unleashing hell on Hull at the MKM Stadium last night. We'll start with interesting team news, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I was interested when the team come out, shall I say, a few eyebrows raised. 3 changes: McGree, Alex Gilbert, and David Strelec came in for Sonja Hansen. Alan Brown and Bergzog came out the team. George Edmondson was a welcome addition back on the bench to bolster it. Chris, I'll come to you. What were your thoughts when you seen the team news?
So it was one of those where for the third game running, I was absolutely drenched before I'd even set foot in the stadium. So I hadn't really had a chance to look at the team because I was too busy holding my hood down, trying to sort of keep the daughter shielded from all the cars spraying water all over the place. So it wasn't until I got in the stadium that I actually got a chance to look at the team, and my brain was scrambled trying to figure out who was playing where. I liked it though because it wasn't safe. It was bold. Some of it was out of necessity with injuries, etc. But I liked it. I looked and thought, okay, you've got my curiosity now. This is interesting. Like I say, it was wondering, okay, where's Alex Gilbert playing here? Because Ryan McGree's playing there. It's trying to piece it all together. So, yeah, when the team news came out, I was certainly interested to see how all this was going to pan out.
Yeah, Bandy.
Another
4-2-2-2, which you spotted straight away in the opening game against Derby. You spotted the tactic straight away. What were your thoughts on the team news last night when you seen Alex Gilbert playing in a deep role, pushing Riley McGree on?
Much like Chris, really, it was Hull or hell on earth getting to Hull, getting parked. It was absolutely lashing down, biblical conditions again, much like Oxford was. Straight into this little social club, queuing up at the bar, and a guy shouts, "Bandy, Gilbert's playing." I said, "Sorry, what?" He says, "Where?" He says, "I don't know, but he's in the team." And I'm scratching my head thinking, really? How, why, and when? And not under normal circumstances, I'd think, right, oh my God, why is he playing? Because he's not really pulled up any trees as yet, being brutally honest. And then I thought, actually, it's Kim Hellberg who's in charge of him. He's his tutor now. He's his mentor. He'll have found a way to integrate him into that team, I'm sure. So I just left it at that, and I was just, hoping something would happen. And as it happens, he had an absolutely barnstorming game. It was class. But the system itself, I don't think that's going to change too much now. We mentioned it last week against Derby, 4-2-2-2. That's his stamp. That's his rubber stamp. That's what he's going to do. And he's putting players in to fit that system. It was very, very, very brave last night to go toe-to-toe with Hull, who were a very, very good side, in form and very dangerous at the MKM Stadium. So I was pleased that we went that way, knowing the capabilities of the players, and I think he did pick the right players on the night, and each and every man stood up tall, and they were all absolutely brilliant.
Chris, managers make statements when they come in press conferences and stuff like that, and one thing that Kim Hellberg said at the start was, training's very important to him. players get the opportunity to impress and train well, and if they do that and impress them on the training ground, they'll get the rewards by getting the chance in the first team. And you take that when managers say things that normally with a bit of a pinch of salt, it's almost like just trying to motivate the players, but they still go back to the tried and tested and pick the same sides. This guy's going to be different, isn't he? 2 games in, you've seen Bangura come into the team. Alex Gilbert's been introduced into the team. David Strelec, he bigged him up in the press conference. He got his start last night, got a goal in the team. I think he means what he says, Kim Hellberg, doesn't he, Chris?
Sondre Johansson as well, against Derby County. He come into the team, and I thought, there was bits defensively wasn't so great, but going forward, I thought he was excellent. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, why haven't we seen these players so far? I think a lot of it was, I don't want to bang on about the previous manager too much. I think we've gave him too much, more attention than he deserves. But you got to think that, were these players that he wanted here, or was he just so set on his system where all the creativity came from the fullbacks or the wing backs that he wasn't willing to give these players the opportunity? Because in all the games that he played, if you look at the results that we got under him, I wrote a list for you got 1-0, 3-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-2, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-1, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1. Apart from 3-0 Millwall, 0-3 Watford, they're all incredibly narrow games. And you're thinking, and I know not everyone likes XG and all that kind of stuff, but you've looked at the expected goals, we were 17th, I think, in the league under Rob Edwards. So you're thinking some of these players should have been getting an opportunity. And it's one of those where I think, as much as I thought, he had a fantastic start here, no one could take that away from him. Winning the first 4 games, 8 games unbeaten, it did feel like it was on the cusp of going wrong, because it wasn't getting, it wasn't getting better in the forward areas. It was getting worse game on game. That Leicester game and the Wrexham game, dreadful. So for Kim Hellberg to come in here, and after 1 week, it feels like he just totally revitalated the place. Going forward, his main job when he came in was, defensively, we were rock solid, absolutely brilliant. But can you get this team going forward to click? And from what I've seen so far, after 1 week, and you could list the players that are out at the minute, especially the back line, you'd think a manager would come in and think, you've got Aileen out, you've got Dale Fry out, you've got Alan Brown out, Aidan Morris out. We need to protect the back line. We need to maybe hit him on the counter. No such thinking. Forward. Gilbert straight the team. Hansen, the last game, straight the team. And if this is what he can do with the limited players he's got at the minute, because like I said, there's about 4 or 5 first-team players out, I am generally excited to see what he can do when he has most of his squad fit, which I know is a big if, supporting Middlesbrough, the players being fit, because this is about the 3rd season now, isn't it? We've been riddled with injuries, but I'm really excited to see what this bloke can do, because if that was a little taste of it yesterday, Hellball is going to be one hell of a roller coaster.
You made an interesting point there about Rob Edwards, and I've thought this as well. Do you think it was possibly in his thinking why he jumped ship and went to Wolves? Sorry, the fact that he thought he couldn't get a tune out of these Middlesbrough players. He maybe thought this Middlesbrough squad had peaked the first 7-8 games and on a little bit of a downward trajectory, and he was really struggling to find a place for a Strelec, what to do with Sondre Johansson and Calais Sen, and how to get them in the team. Napan from Man City. How can I get these players to work? I don't have the answers. So do you think that was in his thinking, and why he went to Wolves, Chris?
I don't think it was the main factor, but I certainly think it being in the back of his mind, thinking, I'm about to get busted here. So I think the main factor was it was Wolves, it was his club, more money, Premier League, and he doesn't have any loyalty to anyone but himself. So I think that was the main driving factor. But I certainly think in the back of his mind, he'd be thinking, yeah, because let's say you can outrun variance for so long, but eventually it will catch up with you. And when you're producing maybe one big chance every game and you're taking it, that's not sustainable. It just isn't. And that's what we were doing at the start of the season. And a lot of people were giving him a hard time. I was one of those fans who was thinking, right, okay, he's just came in the door. Let's give him an opportunity. The defence was rock solid. So he's given us solid foundations. That's to give him a chance to work with the attacking players and find a system that works. But it got to the point where it was like, I think it was a Watford game when they got the second goal. I'm thinking, game's dead. There's no way we'll score 2 goals. And then you sat there thinking, this guy's no further forward. And it was clear the fault line, the striker or the 3 behind changed every week. There was times at half time he'd have to make 4, 5, 3, whatever changes. And you're thinking, this guy doesn't know what he's doing in the final third. So, in fact, I think we'll look back and I'll think his new employers have done us a massive favour, because I don't think he ever would have solved it, and I think it would have unravelled. So, say it's early doors with Kim Hellberg. What Hull were shocking. I thought they were awful, but you can only be able to put in front of you. So, for what I've seen so far, like I said, of just a couple of training sessions, I'm very, very impressed with what I've seen. And you think if he can get a good period of time on the training pitch with this group of players, and then you got January to come, you got Malanda to come in, you've got to think we'll add some attacking options as well there. I know Southampton and Ipswich, they're starting to come good now, but you look at the quality of the Championship, it's not great, is it? So you think this has got to be a massive opportunity for us to do something.
Absolutely. Graham will get into the game. You were there at the game. First goal goes in, off to a flying start. David Strelec with the goal. Lovely worked goal. Hayden Hackney gets the ball in midfield, drives forward, lays a superb ball out wide to Riley McGree. McGree cuts the ball back in. I think Whittaker goes for it, bounces down. Yeah. Strelec controls it superbly with his right foot and swivels and smashes the ball into the top corner. That was a great start by David Strelec, Bandy, wasn't it?
Magnificent start. If you look at Hackney, when Hackney makes that run, Strelec's already gone. So he knows that ball's coming to him at some point. So he's bust along to get into the box. And what I also noticed, that not just him, there was another 4 players made that run as well. So he's obviously instructed his players to flood the box, to get on the end of things. So we didn't have that isolation up front, which we've had previously, probably under Edwards. I think Chris was absolutely spot on saying he'd probably been found out a little in that final third. He was a defender by trade, so he came in and he basically shored us up and made us very hard to beat. But Hellberg's take us on to another level now in terms of playing progressive football and getting up the pitch quick. Some of the touches through midfield, it was 2-touch. It was like a five-a-side game at times. It was so tight and compact. Just played through them like a hot knife through butter. It was beautiful to watch. And like you say, Strelec got in the box quick, found that time and space and just reacted quickly. A Bernie-esque type finish. It's a bit like that goal against the Villa at the Aldgate end in the Zenith. He just swiveled on it and bang, top corner. And that put us off to a fantastic start, and we never looked back. We just went for the jugular. We were ruthless last night, almost cruel in what we did, in how we sort of eviscerated them, really. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. Brilliant to watch. And each and every player was involved in some capacity in one of the goals, whether it be slow build-up and then hitting teams hard, or hitting teams long and making channel runs, and midfielders pushing on. Everybody knew their roles to perfection, and it was, dare I say, it looked quite easy for them because they knew what they were doing and they were all comfortable in what they were doing as well. So it was just a brilliant start. And 9 minutes, straight out the traps. There was only one winner after that. And once we got the second, it was a case of how many. And like I said, we kept going for them and going for them and going for them. And then it ended up 4.
Bandy just said there, the second goal, Chris. Now, Hayden Hackney cut the ball back for Alex Gilbert to smash in from the edge of the box, his right foot, bottom corner. They were superb on the night. Hayden Hackney was man of the match. Alex Gilbert slotted in absolutely perfectly alongside him. It's going to be real interesting looking at the games coming up, because obviously you're going to have Brown coming back to fitness and Aidan Morris coming back to fitness and coming back in there. But what I liked last night about Gilbert alongside Hackney was the athleticism. They're both players that are box to box, that can get forward, they can drive, one can sit in, one can go. And on the second goal, it was Hackney on the edge of the box, laying it off for Gilbert, who drove his, from the halfway line, getting himself forward. He'd done it a little bit earlier, actually, with Morgan Whittaker, and smashes the ball in the box. Can you see, a Gilbert-Hackney partnership actually flourishing, where we might be in a situation in a few weeks' time where Aidan Morris or Brown might have to sit out for that partnership?
It's crazy, isn't it? Because at the start of the season, it was all about, Hayden Hackney and Aidan Morris, that partnership, that telepathy.
Best in the league, apparently, yeah.
They'd established and all that. Yeah. And then it was on, and then Brown was the next one. Oh, no, Brown's better than Morris. It's Brown's brilliant. And now it's Brown who, now we're blessed with options. That's a great place to be. If Gilbert starts again on Tuesday night at Charlton and he has a great performance, what a fantastic problem for the manager to have. I thought it was brilliant for him to have not been given a sniff under the previous manager and then come in and produce that kind of performance. It just shows how sometimes it does need a new manager, fresh face to come in, and it's a clean slate for everyone. If you impress in training, you knuckle down and you show him that you've got something that you can get off of this team, he'll give you a chance. And once you get that chance, so you have to take it. Bangrover's took it. Gilbert certainly took it. Like I said, I thought Hansen did pretty well. I thought he looked bright when he came on when he started against Derby. So, yeah. So when that goal in, I was absolutely over the moon for him. The MKM Stadium is his playground. He came in, could on New Year's Day, got the winning goal there. So I was absolutely delighted to see that goal go in. Over the moon for the lad, because he deserves an opportunity.
Going back to Hansen, Chris, he came on against Coventry, didn't he? And he showed flashes of brilliance in that game and sort of pegged them back a wee bit, which warranted his start against Derby. And he took that chance, obviously, but he got injured. So it's time for him to sit out and somebody else to come in. But I love the way he's allowing players to be given an opportunity. And if they play well, then why not stay in the team?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because if you remember when Chris Wilder left the football club, in the next game under Leo Pergovic, Hayden Hackney, the youngster, hadn't had a sniff for the first team, was straight in. Yeah. So it does make you wonder what goes on behind the scenes. Say that Hansen, other than the start of the season, hadn't really the chance. Gilbert had another chance. I know Bangu's come back from injury, but never really saw him in the team. All these players have suddenly been given the chance, and they've all done pretty well. So yeah, it does make you wonder managers obviously have favourites, ways they want to play. Players think, I don't really fancy him, or I wouldn't really have signed him. So, yeah, over the moon for Alex Gilbert.
The third goal again, Gilbert was involved in. Again, getting the ball, driving through the midfield, lays the ball out wide to Whittaker, who cuts in on his wonder of a left foot, that we'll call it these days. Wasn't seeing that a few weeks back, but bends a superb goal into the back of the net. And Gilbert again on that goal, when he got the ball and he drove forward and sprayed the ball wide to Whittaker. I know it sounds daft, but he's got a lot of traits of a Frank Lampard. He could be a box-to-box midfielder. He likes to get the ball edge of the box. He likes to fire his shots in. He's got a good dig on him. He could be the Championship Lampard that we're unlocking. You know what I mean? He come from Brentford. He was the reserve captain of Brentford, scoring all the goals. He was scoring the penalties, scoring free kicks for Brentford. Came with a decent reputation. And he's only 23, isn't he? Or 24, maybe 24. But, he's still got that potential to be a really good player at championship level, in my opinion.
Spot on. He showed every single quality last night that's needed to be a dynamic, high-end midfielder. The fact that he was playing as a central midfielder, as a part of a double pivot, he's able to bomb on, he's able to score, he's able to assist. He's able to drop in and play as the middle pivot of a centre three centre backs at times. When dare I say we're under the cosh, but we weren't. But he was more than an able deputy to slot in as a third centre back. So yeah, he's got some versatility. He's got drive. He's got determination. He's got tenacity. Seems like a really good kid who just wants to knuckle down and play. And he's earned his reward. So for me, you've got to give him another go at Charlton and just don't break up that dynamic. Because if something's working, then please don't rip it up and try something different. There's no need.
I was thinking Middlesbrough lacked that Bandy for years.
Yeah, we've been a
box-to-box midfielder. We haven't really had a midfielder for years that is capable of driving forward and getting goals on a regular basis. I think Hackney's got it in his locker and he should get more goals. But I think over the years, certainly of recent times, we haven't had a midfield that chips in with enough goals. There's always a huge sort of emphasis on the striker needs to get 20 goals, and we just haven't had that. But other teams and good teams that get promotion and do well year in, year out, the midfielders chip in with goals left, right and centre. And that's what Middlesbrough, hopefully are going to start doing now with, McGree, Hackney, Whittaker, Gilbert. Hopefully we're going to start getting goals from other areas of the team rather than relying on a striker all the time.
He was so good last night. When you're there, you've seen him. we could laugh here because you mentioned him playing like Lampard. I've likened him to Baresi last night, slotting in as a defender. I've likened him to Busquets on these little half touches and little 1-2s, little wall passes off Hackney. He was absolutely brilliant. And I know I get carried away about players. I got carried away about Naipan. I still think there's a player there. Hopefully he'll flourish under Hellberg and be given opportunity. Should injuries arise. But he was absolutely superb. He was oh my God, he was so good. And Hackney was amazing as well. So there's so many star performers last night, and that's just the two that were the pivots. What about the players in front? Whittaker had arguably his best game, even though he's been in really good form the last 6-7 games. I thought he rose another level last night. He looked stronger, he looked meaner, he looked leaner, he looked tougher. His shot was ridiculous. It was such a good goal, that, because he only had maybe a yard of space to hit it into, right in the side net, and the keeper couldn't get anywhere near it. It's a brilliant strike.
6 goals these last 10 games. I mean, any championship striker would be delighted with those figures. And I was watching last night, Neil Warnock was waxing lyrical about him, saying that he watched him a lot when he was at Plymouth Argyle and thought he was one of the best players in the championship. And he couldn't understand why it wasn't working out for him at Middlesbrough. And now it's clicking into gear. But
when we saw them highlights of him at Plymouth, where he had that fantastic season when they were struggling, he's now showing what he's capable of. So he's got his head sorted, thankfully, and he looks like one of the first names on the team sheet for me now. So brilliant. I love it when a player either grasps an opportunity or rises out of adversity, and he's done both. So well done, Morgan Whittaker. He's integral now to everything we do well.
We'll have to mention the 4th goal as well. Obviously, Hayden Hackney again involved. Alex Bangura involved with the assist for Riley McGree, who again has been absolutely influential in this Middlesbrough team since he came back to fitness, gradually getting more and more minutes into him. He's looking sharper, he's looking faster, quicker. Now he's added that one ingredient that's been missing of late, a goal.
Fantastic.
Nothing surprises me when I see McGree, because I know the qualities he's got. This infancy, this pod has always spoke highly of McGree, but for whatever reason, we just can't get him fit and we can't get a run of games. Hopefully, Hellberg can somehow manage him better than maybe other managers have managed him, and we can get more games out of him, because when he plays, there's a damn good chance that we are going to win the game. And yeah, icing on the cake, seeing Riley score and seeing him running away doing some sort of strange celebration. I don't know what that was. What's that all about?
It was like the walk like an Egyptian, wasn't it? It was like going back to the Bangles,
Yeah, I thought that, but what's the Egyptian link?
I've got. I don't know.
It wasn't Egyptian weather, I know that.
No.
Chris, second half was a bit of a damp squib in a way, in the fact that, Hull were obviously trying to get themselves back in the game. They got themselves back in the game briefly with what I thought was a real controversial penalty. Poor back pass by Hayden Hackney. Sol Bryn gets caught in two minds whether to come or not come. But in my opinion, Sol Bryn pulls out of it. Gelhardt sees the opportunity. For me, it's a dive. They've sort of shown that he gets a slight touch off Sol Bryn's knee as he's going over. But for me, it's an absolute dive. If that's in the Premier League, I think VAR have a look at it and overrule the penalty, in my opinion. But it gets them back in the game. Interestingly, though, for me, again, it was Hellberg. What are you going to do now? Or we're just going to go and get 5 or 6? But no, we're going to bring on George Edmondson. We're going to bring on Sammy Silvera. 6 minutes after their goal, we're going to go to a 5. And we're going to see the game out professionally. Impressive, Chris?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The second half was always going to be an anticlimax compared to the first half, wasn't it? It's one of those where half-time, it's very rare that I'm speechless, but half-time, I was just aghast. It was just, I was like, what have we just watched? And when I did try and speak, my voice had gone. It was just an incredible feeling at half-time. It was...
The concourse was a surreal place. Nobody knew how to react.
You just stared at each other, weren't you? Just like pinching yourselves, like, are we dreaming here? And I saw Sarah, who I know you saw before the game, Bandy. I did see you in the concourse, but I'd queued 25 minutes for my food, and I wasn't risking me chicken strips going flying in that concourse. So, but I spoke to Sarah at half time, and I think her quote was fantastic, where she said, "Is this what it feels like being a Coventry fan?" just ruthlessly smashing teams. And so I did enjoy that feeling of being a team who just tears the opposition apart in the final third. And I think it was also an anticlimax because when you look at the stats of the first half for Hull, expected goals, 0. Shots on target, 0. Shots off target, 0. So it wasn't luck, it wasn't counter-attacking football. It was all-out attack, but they just couldn't get out their own half. And when they did, they were just launching it long, and we were just going straight back at them. So with the game at Charlton on Tuesday night, I think we're always going to take a foot off the gas. Don't need to do anything stupid. Just need to manage the game. I'd have probably took Randwick a bit earlier than we did, but hey-ho, he seemed fine, so I can't really argue with that.
He changed the front four as well. He brought on Naipan, 79, Kali Sen, Bergzor goal come on. So the front four didn't play the full game. They got a bit rest. And I think that was with Charlton in mind, definitely for Tuesday night, which is also going to be another big game.
It was a shrewd move, really, completely changing the team around and bringing on a lot of subs. Purely because I think the conditions, that's when you can get little niggles, little pulls if you're trying to push forward and get a fifth, get a sixth. We didn't need to. We just needed to manage the ball, and we did that ever so well.
Yeah, definitely. And as for the officials, the officials in this division are just clownish, aren't they? Yeah. I could see from the opposite end of the stadium that was a dive. So how on earth has the bloke who's running the game not seen that that's a clear dive? It just winds you up, even though it doesn't mean anything. It didn't cost us the game or anything like that. It feels like we have a cast iron penalty turned down every single week, and there's a blatant clear dive, and it gets given. You're just thinking, what are we supposed to do here? They're a joke, but thankfully it didn't cost us.
Yeah, we're definitely due a decision. We haven't had a penalty all season. Definitely due a decision our way. We get absolutely nothing this season off Championship referees. I mean, Rob Edwards, he even had a word with him, didn't he? Had to try to say why we're not getting decisions, blah, blah, blah. Still makes absolutely no difference. It's just, it beggars belief, some of the decisions. We probably should be 4 or 5 points better off, actually, on decisions for red cards and penalties that haven't been given.
That's it. Not just the penalties. The red card at Oxford. I've never seen a more blatant red card. Give him the yellow.
He absolutely drilled him, didn't he? Went straight through him. Yeah, shocker. I think sometimes Tommy Conway's reputation precedes him as well. I think refs are wise to his antics. He does like to get in front of his man and go down a little bit at times.
Yeah.
But
he's done it yesterday again. Actually, funny enough, he done it first half. I wish he wouldn't, because I think it doesn't. I wish he wouldn't, because I think it enhances his reputation. He doesn't need to do it. It's part of his game. I think he needs to stop doing and just concentrate and staying on his feet. That chance in the first half, for me, he got in front of his man. He had an opportunity, he had bodies in the box to pass it off, or he could have took a touch and tried to shoot himself, but he chose to go down. It's, he's not going to get it. He's not going to get a sympathy penalty. He's not going to get one.
You could tell he enjoyed himself last night, even though he might not feel part of things in terms of goals going in the back of the net. He was a vital cog in that front too. He was making runs that enabled Strelec to free himself up for space. Yeah. And much like Whittaker turned his form around, I'll say now I think his form will turn in the next few weeks under Kim Hellberg. I think you'll see Tommy flourish, and he might go on a 4 goals in 6 games type of run. I really do believe that.
It's a strange one, because I thought, I've been critical of late on here, but I've also said that I think he's a decent Championship striker. It's a difficult one, because I thought last night he did have one of his better games of late. Yeah. He still, though, didn't really have a shot on goal, didn't have any chances. He works hard, he runs the channels, he has an impact on the game. But I've said this on the last few podcasts, Chris, how long do you give somebody before you think, actually, it might be worth taking them out the side, letting them have a look from the sidelines, coming on when defenders are tired later in the game, and hopefully nicking a goal and getting your confidence going? Because regardless of how well he played last night, his job is there to score goals. He's a striker, he's number 9, and it's now 15 games, Chris, without a goal.
Yeah, I'll fully admit I have been a bit frustrated with some of the chances missed, especially that Coventry one. Especially when you look at the league table now, you think, if we'd have got the 3 points in that game, after that goal, we'd be a bit closer. We'd be to potentially still be talking about catching them. as it is, people just kind of just assume that they've gone, don't they, and think, okay, we need to solidify second. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie, he has frustrated at times, but I do think that the way that the previous manager played just didn't suit him. As I said earlier, he was obsessed with full-backs or wing-backs crossing the ball from deep as our main method of chance creation.
And crossing it high, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. So
he's not going to win any headers.
And I said at the start of the season that we needed to sign a Carlton Morris type striker, someone who could hold the ball up and compete for the aerial duels with massive centre halves, which a lot of them in the Championship are. Tommy Conway never has, never will be that type of forward. That doesn't mean I haven't been frustrated. Like I said, I think part of the problem is that he has been getting one big chance a game, and I think he's kind of stuck in a vicious cycle where he gets one chance, and it does tend to be a huge chance. The pressure's on, he knows he has to score it, he misses, and then it's a vicious cycle, and the next chance he gets to the next game, it's a big chance. He knows he misses, he's utterly another chance, and it goes on and on and on. I can only really think of the Sheffield Wednesday game where I thought in that game he was wasteful and should have scored. But I think under Kim Hellberg, I think things will be very different. I think we'll play it with strengths. I think there'll be more through balls to run onto. And I think we have to give him, another 4 or 5 games at least under the new manager and just see if he can get that goal. Because like Whittaker, I think if he does get a goal, which I think he will under the way Kim Hellberg wants to play, that'll be the dam broken. And I think the goals will start coming for him. I think he just needs that goal. And I know it's a thing of, you can only keep playing so many arms, but I think under Edwards, I think there would have been a conversation we had about taking him out the team. Now we've changed the way we attack. I'm quite happy for him to stay there, and because I think Hellberg will get goals out of him.
We've got Bristol City coming up in 2 games' time.
Yeah.
Writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
I agree with that comment, Chris, as well, actually. As I say, I've been critical and I've said I would take him out the team, like he needs a rest. But I agree, just simply because of Kim Hellberg and the chances that we're now creating under Kim Hellberg, you've got to feel one's going to drop for Tommy shortly and he'll stick it away. And we're just going to look at the games coming up, which I think is a pretty decent run of games coming from Middlesbrough, and games which Tommy Conway may flourish in. But just before we do, give our sponsors another plug, Midas Claddon in Middlesbrough. You've probably seen this on social media. You've probably seen it last week on the podcast. We mentioned it. 2 season tickets up for grabs, half-season cards for the North Stand, courtesy of Midas Claddon. Get involved. Get following the podcast. Get retweeting. Leave comments, leave likes, get subscribed to the podcast. It all helps us be able to put these prize draws out for the fans month after month after month, courtesy of Midas Claddon. This one, as I say, somebody's going to win 2 season cards, courtesy, and the draw closes on the 19th of December. So go on to Facebook, go on to X, and you'll find all the details of how to enter there. Right, so the games that are coming up, Chris, which I said are favourable in my opinion, we'll go to Charlton on Tuesday night. We've also got QPR at home next Saturday. Bristol City away, which Bandy's just mentioned, the Tommy Conway game. And then we've got home games back-to-back, Blackburn Rovers and Hull City again at the Riverside Stadium. Chance for us, Chris, to really put pressure on Coventry and cement ourselves in that top 2?
Massive opportunity. There's not many games there I look at and think, I'm a bit worried about them. As I said, I think the league is really poor this season. And I'm surprised by that, by the way. I thought it was going to be a really strong league. I thought, Ipswich would be flying, Southampton would be flying. I thought Leicester might do okay. Then you got like Birmingham and, Mark Robbins is always a decent manager with Stoke. And then Coventry. I thought it was going to be a really, really tough league. And as it's turned out, there's not many sides can put together any kind of consistency. I know Southampton and Ipswich are now starting to put little runs together, so I think they might be dangerous second half of the season. But this is a massive opportunity. That's it. Other than Bristol City, because we always just seem to get beat there. Other than Bristol City, there's not many games to look at. I mean, Blackburn. It's one of those that they always tend to do a job on us. They tend to be low-scoring games, but Boxing Day. We tend to do well on Boxing Day, if memory serves me right. So even then, home game, you've got to fancy yourselves at a packed Riverside Stadium. You've got to fancy yourself in that game. So
Definitely.
other than Bristol City, for the reasons that we always get beat there's not many games I look at that and think, oh, I'm a bit worried about that. Because even Charlton, you just said a few weeks ago, that's a tough place to go. Nathan Jones doesn't fly in. They're shipping goals left, right and centre at the moment. So that's a massive opportunity for us.
Graham, what's your thoughts on the upcoming games? Real chance to push on and put a little bit of pressure on Coventry?
You know me, Dicko, I don't like jumping too far ahead. Each game as it comes, Mr. Cliche Man. But it is mouthwatering in terms of that prospective points haul. There's some teams there which we could dispatch of comfortably, I think. More so the away games than the home ones, I think. Like Chris rightly points out, Blackburn, tricky customers, low block, horrible team to play against. Bristol City, it's about time we arrested that hoodoo. He's right in saying that we're normally crap there, but I've mentioned Tommy Conway. I think that could be a big factor in that game. He'll be so pumped up for that. I think it might happen for him. QPR, mixed bag. We could go there and win. We've won there handsomely in recent years. So all the points are there to play for, and I don't think we've got a bigger or better opportunity than we have this season of cementing second spot and getting an unassailable lead between second and third. I really do. I think last night was pivotal. As it stands doing this pod now, that the results are again favourable, and we've put ourselves in a fantastic position. Looking at Coventry, even they are catchable, but it's a very, very tall order. Let's just keep picking up points, don't get beat, and see where it takes us.
Yeah, well, these aren't full-time scores, but it's going into the last few minutes of the game.
Yeah,
Coventry are losing 2-0. Stoke City are 4-0 down. Birmingham are 3-1 down. So this Bristol City,
Millwall are winning.
Bristol, but they're beating Bristol, who are up there as well. So
yeah.
The results are really going well for Middlesbrough tonight. So the league table should look very good this evening for Middlesbrough fans. You're not going to get every result going for you, but the majority are going for us again. So Coventry, we can put pressure on them with those fixtures. In my opinion, if we do what we should be doing, let's see where we're on 5-6 games time. See what the gap is to Coventry. So we'll jump into fans' questions, because we've been given quite a few questions this week. Obviously, when you win, you always get more questions. And we'll start with, Chris Blackwood. I'll come to you, Bandy, on this one.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris comes in with, not so much a question, but a reflection. I'd love you guys to discuss how lucky we are to have Sir Steve Gibson. For a town with a lot to deal with, what a force of good he is, in my opinion, and he loves the show. Thanks for that, Chris.
Yeah, well, I guess if he wasn't in such a lofty position and running a football club, he'd be doing a podcast like we are. He's that passionate. He's one of us, and we're absolutely privileged to have him. And every season, if you can find the money, he will find it, and he'll try and push us in the right direction. So grateful for him, eternally grateful. Saved us and is now taking us forward to hopefully where we belong.
Chris, your opinion on Steve Gibson? Obviously, a few years ago, a few were questioning, has he still got the drive? Has he still got the ambition? We seem to be struggling to compete with the parachute payment clubs. We seem to be struggling to spend what we needed to really push on. But I think his ambitions come to the fore again. I think he's made a great decision, in my opinion, to bring Kieran Scott to the club. I think the money that Kieran Scott's generated through players leaving this football club and generating profit for the club has given Middlesbrough a real opportunity to push on and make the squad stronger. And now, like last season, we're having a real push, I think, for promotion, which is all Middlesbrough fans can ask for every year. Is the team going to be able to be good enough to compete, not just for the top two, but for the top six, but for the top two?
Yeah, it's one of those where you can never question the funding that Steve Gibson's put in this football club, because even if you go back previous years, even if some of the decisions that he's made have been questionable, some of the appointments or some of the transfers we've made have been highly questionable going back years. I'm talking going back to like a Sombolonga, Gusted. That's that type of, we're in the Premier League and you're signing, say, Bamford and is it Guardiola or something? Yeah.
Guardiola.
Guardiola, that's it. Yeah, you can go back and you can look at some moments and you can question it, but what you can never doubt is he will always put the funding in that he can to try and make this football club a success. And whereas other owners would have just sell up, I'll leave you to it, see you later. He's always stuck by, and yeah, he did make mistakes when we were in the Premier League and got relegated, but he's stuck by, and he has paid the personal cost for them. The money that he's put into the football club has come at a personal cost to him. And I think since Kevin Scott's come to the football club, it just feels like the whole football club has been run much more professionally lately. The ingoings and outgoings of transfers, because it just wasn't sustainable, was it, when we were spending the amount of money we were on players who were like 28, 29, journeymen. The days of that are gone now, and we're now signing players or even appointed managers where people want to come and give us money for them. And then, so say, even with a manager, to get £2-3 million for a manager who, like we discussed earlier, I think was on the brink of being found out, and then pay a couple £100,000 for someone who, in the final third of pitch at least, is a massive upgrade on what we had. It's genius. And when you look at, like I said, previous transfer business, it tends to be, it's never going to be self-sustainable. No club in the Championship is self-sustainable unless you're a parachute payment club. If you're not a parachute payment club, you'll always lose money, and you'll always need someone like Steve Gibson to fill that gap. But we're as close as you probably can be to being self-sustainable. I said you're always going to lose money, but it needs someone to fill that gap, and Steve Gibson's a man who does that. And people can criticise him about previous decisions or ticket prices or what have you. And yep, some of that is fair, but what no one can deny is that he's never gave up on this football club. He's always been here. When he's gone, people will realise just how important he was to Middlesbrough Football Club. And I say he's been the chairman for my whole lifetime, being a Middlesbrough fan. So I dread the day that he won't be here, because it'll be a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, I think there's a beautiful contrast in us having Steve Gibson and us losing a manager to, at the moment, what I would say is a basket case of a club in Wolverhampton Wanderers with their ownership model. It's chalk and cheese, so it's quite ironic, really.
Yeah, they're an absolute embarrassment, and Steve Gibson would never. Yeah. One thing he'll never be at this football club is a national embarrassment, which a lot of owners are.
Yeah, that's not a slur on Wolverhampton Wanderers, because they're a fantastic club, but they're just being carried by gross mismanagement at the moment.
Same as Sheffield Wednesday and several other clubs.
Same as Sheffield Wednesday. So yeah, we're very, very privileged and honoured still to have Steve Gibson at the helm.
Not that I need an excuse to have another go at Rob Edwards, but I will anyway. It also shows you what a man Rob Edwards is, to actually leave Middlesbrough with an owner that's brought him, off back-to-back relegations, give him a chance at a big football club on a 3.5-year contract, backed him financially in the transfer market, with an opportunity to try and get his reputation back on track. And then for him to turn his back on Steve Gibson, an owner that would give him time, he would have given a couple of years at least to try and get Middlesbrough promoted. And he's turned his back on all that, like you've just said there, guys, for a basket case of a club, because he loves the club, apparently. Yeah, well.
It's an absolute head-scratcher. There's some very reputable public figures who are speaking highly of Steve Gibson and not so highly of Rob Edwards in the way he's treated Middlesbrough Football Club. But that's his bed now. He's got to make that, and good luck to him.
It'll be interesting to see what lasts longer, my Christmas decorations or Rob Edwards.
Well, look, we don't want to get too involved with him, but he's already thrown his players under the bus after 3 games. So a lot of them foreign lads who don't quite get it, they'll be thinking, who's this guy? Who is this imposter?
So we'll go another question. TC, Bandy, should we not register Lenihan in January to free up some space in the squad? Interesting point.
Oh, good question, that. I mean, it's not for me to dictate his career, but I don't think we're going to see him in a Middlesbrough shirt again. So that's up to him and the medical staff to come to an arrangement, I think. It's such
I'd imagine the medical team will decide that, yeah.
Yeah, such a sad state of affairs, because he did come back and he actually coasted through the game this season. I thought, oh, wow, We've finally got him back after, 2.5 years or something. And you look at the contrast between Bangura being out for 2 years and then him coming back. So there's definitely a problem there, which is it's just going to continue. So it's going to be a sad ending, I think. And that sounds really, really tough to say, but you've got to be brutally honest.
Chris, I'll come to you on this one from Neil Baker. The 4-2-2-2 system is a joy to watch. Hull couldn't cope with the movement of the players from defence into attack and vice versa. There seems to be a different dynamic and belief in the players, and they look like they've been given more confidence to express themselves under Kim Hellberg.
Yeah, from what we've seen so far, brilliant. And it's one of those where I don't think Kim Hellberg's going to be wedded to that. I think he's a manager he's a proper coach. He's someone who looks for solutions, and I think if that he wouldn't just stick with it for the sake of sticking with it. I think if that stopped working for whatever reason, I think he'd find other solutions around it as well. I think he's someone who, going forward, everything's very fluid. It's it can change game to game. It can change if what players are available. I say we've got 4 or 5 first teamers. I think Luke Aylin's been probably player of the season for us. He's got to come back. Morris, Brown, possibly Fry, and then you've got Malanda to come back. You've got some really good players to come back. So yeah, he's going to be plenty of options to choose from. So
Aidan Morris, Aidan Morris is wanting to be in the World Cup team, isn't he? And he's going to be sitting on the bench looking at Alex Gilbert on Tuesday, possibly.
Aidan Morris, it's crazy. But what I just love that the number of players we had in the middle of the pitch that were just finding pockets of space and could just play those little through balls. And like Bandy said, flooding that box time after time. Early in the season, it was just one man in the box. Sorry, Conway in the box. He's got 3 defenders around, and you think, what are you expecting him to do? The ball's got to Callum Britton. It's been another outstanding player for us. And he lifts his head and you think, what am I doing here? And then the ball goes backwards because he hasn't got anyone to cross to. Whereas now, like Bandy said, we're flooding the box now. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing so far.
Bandy, Kieran Gunter comes in. He can't wait for this week's podcast. Thanks for that, Kieran.
A loyal fan.
He is. I thought a draw would be a great result for us. How Hellberg's got us firing after that, after our own very well documented struggles in front of goal is unbelievable, to be fair. So Kieran sort of saying, of what was said before, massive struggles in front of goal. Apparently, the players either weren't good enough or couldn't do it, or were struggling to adapt to English football or settle in England. Hellberg comes in, 2 games, 6 goals, great football. Strelec suddenly looks a player. Sant Johansson suddenly looks a player. Gilbert looks a player. It's some turnaround, isn't it?
Absolutely. I actually put a tweet out pre-match saying this is going to be a very tough in big, fat, chunky capital letters. And it turned out to be arguably our easiest game of the season, the way we just dispatched of them. I was expecting McBurney to pass the fitness test, and I thought he would be the pivot man in their attack. I thought a lot of balls would be getting slumped into him. Crooks would be picking off our defence as well. I thought Gellert would be busy playing around him, and it just turned out not to be the case. Like Kieran says, we just played through them with so much ease and efficiency. It was a joy to watch. I don't think I've ever seen us take a team apart so well in 45 minutes of football as a Boro fan. I was struggling to think driving back last night. We've seen some really good performances over 90 minutes where we've actually battered teams, but in 45 minutes we just blew them away. It was strange, really. It was a very surreal moment. It was almost like watching somebody else's team, and it sort of didn't quite belong to us because it was just stuff like that doesn't happen to us. We're Boro fans. We don't get nice things, but that was just so good to watch. And like Chris says, the concourse at half time, it was a surreal place. People were just in shock, just looking at each other open mouth, going, "What is going on here?" We couldn't believe it.
Chris, can you think of can you think of another 45 minutes where Middlesbrough have blown a team away like that? Because I was trying to rack my brains where Middlesbrough have come out the traps like that and just absolutely buried a team. I even look back to the Man City game years ago and we beat them 8-1, but it was only 2-0 at half time.
Well, they had a man sent off as well. Richard Dunn got sent off that game.
Fully enough, I was just about to answer your question before you'd asked it. So I would say the only one I could think of, that came close to it was back in 2011, ironically at the MKM Stadium under Tony Mowbray, we were 4 up at half-time, Scott McDonald hat-trick.
Oh, yes, remember that.
That's the only time I can think of where we've had that, where it's been like first half, just absolutely dismantled the side. So clearly the MKM Stadium is often a happy hunting ground for us.
The most recent I could think of, guys, was half-time against Sheffield Wednesday under Michael Carrick, where Neto Borges had a fantastic 45 and Carrick found a formula. But we won't talk about the second half. So... So yeah, it's
that
I'm
ruined
struggling.
Boxing Day for me last year.
Quiz question for you, Chris. Scott McDonald's hat-trick, 4-1. Can you name the Hull City goalkeeper that day?
Ooh, no, go on.
The best goalkeeper in the world, apparently, Aston Villa's Martinez. Was the goalkeeper. Little bit of stats there for you. I had to get one in the day.
There you go.
World Cup winning Martinez.
There you go.
Wow.
I remember Julio Arca got the other goal for us, but no, I didn't know he was in goal for Hull. There you go.
Yeah, so there you go. That's
Julio Arca would be a magnificent player in this current Boro team. He would love it on that left-hand side.
Jimmy Lees. All right, Jimmy. He's come in with this one, Chris, Jimmy. For you. Yeah. Are we all buying Hellberg hats? And also, what about Alex Gilbert for Ireland?
Well, yeah, I do think that the black hats are going to be the new grey hoodies. So, and no one models it better than Jimmy Lee's. So, yeah, I'm all on that train.
Bandy, Jonathan Taylor, is reintroducing the likes of Bangura and Gilbert a sign of what could be a genuine masterstroke of Boro to bring in a new and totally fresh coach in Hellberg. I feel it could give us an unpredictability that other teams may struggle with versus previous coaches?
Oh, great question. The answer is yes. Yeah. He's obviously sat these players down. He's probably had a one-to-one with each and every player and said, look, what do you do best? How can I get the best from you? And it's working. He's found little niches for every single player. Bangura, I mean, I still can't believe that transformation 2 years out. And he's played 2 phenomenal games. Absolutely brilliant. His fitness levels are really, really top-notch for someone who's been out so long. And he's a vital part now of that left-hand side. Linked up beautifully with Riley. Got Callum on the right, linking up beautifully with Morgan. There's little connections all throughout the pitch. The 4-2-2 is working an absolute treat because we've got Hackney and another. Could be Brown, could be Morris, it could be Gilbert. And then we've got Riley and Whittaker who are linking up beautifully. And then we've finally got 2 up front. And it's working because we're scoring goals now. So yeah, long may that continue, and let's keep going.
About players' best games, Bandy. I thought Strelec, that was his best game for by far. He looked sharp. He looked a yard quicker. I like the fact he was higher up the pitch. He wasn't dropping in. He was staying up front. Conway was the one flitting wide a bit more. Strelec played more through the middle, which I like. I thought he looked a real good player last night.
He was, dare I say, he was filthy last night. He was, because I was quite close to the front, and when we were pushing second half to try and get a fifth, he was wrestling players. He was holding them off. He was sticking his backside into them, getting his elbows up. Dare I say, like an old style Alan Shearer style performance. He was good, really, really good. And that, if he can hold the ball up and bring others into play, then it's going to bode well. We've been asking a lot of Tommy lately to do that himself, and also to try and get on the end of his own assists. He's been trying to do too much. Now he's finally got some help. We might see, that partnership flourish. Both of them, not just one of them.
Yeah. Chris, this one's from Davy Lean. He's come in with flying in the face of last night's goal fest at Hull. I'm concerned that we don't score enough goals because we don't shoot enough. Do you think we should stop trying to walk the ball in the net and try shooting? Last night worked.
Whatever we were doing last night, do it again. That's basically what we saw last night was great. Obviously, you can't really judge the second half because we were managing the game, weren't we? So I know people say, some people might say, second half we didn't do out. Yeah, but the foot was off the gas, wasn't it? It was just managing the game, make sure we don't lose, conserve energy, don't get injured for Tuesday. But yeah, from what I saw from that first half, we just, whatever we were doing, just need to do it again on Tuesday night.
That
he's
Strelec goal, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, he might have took an extra touch there and got dispossessed.
Yeah. Well,
Whittaker, 4 or 5 weeks ago, he might have tried to take another touch and got the ball blocked off.
definitely.
Gilbert, I mean, it just opened up for him. It was a beautiful drilled strike, that. Again, right in the corner. Keeper ain't getting that.
And Whittaker, that's the sort of goal he tries for every week, doesn't it? Isn't
Yeah.
it? Coming in off the right on that left foot.
Yeah.
But obviously, this time it was beautiful. Beautiful.
That was
bottom
exquisite,
corner.
that finish. You've seen Messi do them every single week for 15 years. But that was up there. It was so good.
Obviously, the Derby one was more of a cross. It was a cross, wasn't it? It wasn't a shot. But
Yeah,
there was no mistake about that one last night. That was beautiful.
It was brilliant.
Well, he said in his interview after the game, he put the ball into an area against Derby. He thought somebody might get a touch if I put it in that area. If they don't touch it, it could go straight in. Obviously, it went straight in. I liked that about him. He was thinking about it. He was putting it into an area. It wasn't just a shot anywhere. It was thought process, which was good. And he's coming on leaps and bounds, Morgan Whittaker. He still makes mistakes. He still frustrates us. He still does things in games that I think he could improve on. But as long as he's got end product, that's what matters at the top end of the pitch, and that's what's missing from Tommy Conway at the moment. He's got all the tools, all the creativity, all the drive, all the energy, all the hard work, but he's just lacking the end product. So once Tommy Conway gets the end product, he'll come on hopefully like what Morgan Whittaker is at the moment.
The only thing
go on, Bandy.
for Tommy was he was getting in brilliant positions on the left-hand side. He was driving in, dropping his shoulder. He was going past a couple of players. He could have unleashed. He could have had a couple of shots last night, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And I've just
confidence. It's confidence.
That's down to confidence. Whittaker was doing it, and it'll happen. It will turn for him. I'm convinced. I'll hold my hands up if it doesn't happen, but I'm pretty convinced it will happen.
I think it will under this manager. I don't think it might have done if I'd stuck with Rob Edwards, but I do think it's going to turn for Tommy under this manager. Just to finish Davy Lean's point there, Bandy, he was agreeing with him as well. He said, do you think we should give Strelec a run and feed him the ball? I believe there is a player who naturally knows where the onion bag is.
Yeah, 100%. Like I just mentioned before, he looked horrible last night. If you're a defender, you think, I don't want to play against this guy. He's awful. He's a nightmare to wrestle. And he was brilliant. He was unlucky. He probably should have scored again a couple of minutes after he'd scored, where he shanked that left foot shot just across the goal. Bit more composure that goes in. But no, he's up and running. He's got a couple of goals now, and we know there's a player there. He's proven it. We've seen it against Germany. That's why we signed him, I think. We want more of that, and we saw a bit of it last night with that finish. Brilliant finish. Didn't give the defender any time to react. Smacked it, and it's gone in the top corner. So got us off to an absolute brilliant start, and there was only one team going to win it after that.
It's one of those, isn't it? That it's not one or the other in the system. It's not like the previous system where it was Strelec or Conway. If you stick to 4-2-2-2, you play them both. Play them for the next half a dozen games or so. Let them form a partnership. Say Tommy Conway didn't have any shots on goal yesterday, so was it? Say we only really went out to score in the first 45 minutes, so can't really judge him too much on that. So you got the assist for one of them, so I'll be over the moon if same team again on Tuesday night. Get them two up there. Let's let them form a partnership and see where it takes us from there.
I just want to point out regarding Hellberg how brave he is. And I'm always a big fan of fortune favouring the brave, but there's a lot of emphasis. There's a lot of pressure on our two fullbacks occupying them massive spaces on both flanks, because we do play so narrow, but we play so narrow ever so well. So it's working out wide and it's working centrally. This 4-4-2-2-2, it's like, it's unheard of. It's honestly, it's a pioneering tactics for me. It's brilliant to watch.
That's going to be another big call as well. When we do eventually get a Dale Fry back fit or a Luke Ayling back fit, and we then naturally would think, oh, that's great, we're just going to put Matt Targett back at left back. Hold on a minute. Are we really going to consider taking Alex Bangura out the side?
No, you can't.
That's another massive call by Kim Hellberg. And I think, and if I'm being brutally honest, I think Matt Targett's been absolutely outstanding this season. However, I would say my instinct tells me that Bangura is more of a Hellberg type player. He seems to like a player with energy and drive, who likes to be on the front foot, who likes to bomb forward. I think that's why we've seen Hansen given the chance. I think that's why you've seen Gilbert given the chance. And I think that's why Bangura's getting his chance. So it'll be interesting to see what Kim Hellberg does once we get the centre-halves back and he has that decision to make between Targett and Bangura.
it wouldn't surprise me if it wouldn't surprise me if Riley got injured. You've got a natural replacement in Hellberg's way. He would possibly put Bangura there as that left-sided player, play higher up the pitch, and maybe move Target just behind him. Who knows? He's a crazy manager. It's brilliant. When we signed him as manager, we did a bit of research, didn't we, Dicko? And we read up that he was actually keen on playing players in sort of alien positions, and I think we saw that last night to its maximum effect in putting Adam Gilbert where he put him. You know, as a double part of a double pivot, bombing on Frank Lampard style, or Franco Baresi, or Busquets. Some player there, haven't we? Not bad for a guy that couldn't get a game.
Look, guys, we're going to have to leave it there. It's time already. Sorry if I couldn't get your questions read out. There was so many this week. Paul McLean and Graham Dawson were both asking where any news on John Cutler. Has he been found yet? Well, Paul and Graham, he will be back next week. Don't worry, Cutler's fine. Cutler will be back. We'll have some crack with him next week. Hopefully by the time he comes back, Mr. Conway will have bagged his first goal, and it'll be an easier podcast for Cuts to come back onto. Chris, thanks for coming on, mate.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, cheers, Chris. Legend.
We'll get you on again. Graham, thanks for coming on, as usual.
Cheers, Dicko. Thanks, mate.
Right, Boro fans, remember, don't say typical Boro. Watch it, listen to it, and we'll see you again soon. Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.